Let me know if 5 you can hear me. All right. So we are looking at a new Trump presidency. And if you've been following me for a while, you know that I don't vote. Okay. And I know some of you are going to be mad about that. Okay. And that's not what this is about. So if you're thinking we're going to be talking about politics, we're not. But I want to kind of like explain to you why Forex is now back on the menu. So it's going to be a little bit of reference to politics simply because it relates to monetary policy and global trade. And that's one of the major functions of the foreign exchange market. So if you've been wondering why Forex has sucked for the last few years, it's because you had an administration in power here um, that wasn't all that friendly for it. So, and you might argue that Trump isn't going to be friendly for it or wasn't friendly before, but he gets things done because he's a businessman. And unfortunately, whether you like it or not, the American nation, the United States, is a corporation, unfortunately, and it has to be ran like a business. So, for the folks that's going to wonder why I don't vote, is because I don't believe in the two-party system. It's a one-party system, and you have the illusion of choice. They share back and forth power, and they basically bend the knee to people that you don't see that really run everything. So that's my opinion, and you're welcome to debate about it and say whatever you want to say about it, but that's my opinion. That's why I don't participate in it. Okay? So, and you can't blame me no matter what happens. So, Forex has been pretty much a killjoy for a number of years. And when I publicly came out and said that I was not trading it anymore, because of the administration that came in, I was not comfortable with what was transpiring, not only there, but with COVID stuff, with the draconian things that were being implemented, not only in America, but in every other country. It was just a very prime environment for a black swan. And honestly, just because Trump has been president elect now doesn't mean he's ever going to get in the office. Anything can happen, folks. You know, the man's up in age. You know, something unforeseeable might happen. You know, Lord forbid. But it's a long walk between now and January 20th. Let's just put it that way. And once he gets in office, he's already talked about some of the things he wants to do, and that's going to stir up the foreign exchange markets. Okay, they already started moving around a lot. Futures this week, on the heels of the Trump landslide, they had moved, as you would expect, one way higher. And if it would have been more leaning towards Kamala, which would have been a shock for me, why anybody would have voted for her. She didn't even campaign long enough, and she doesn't have any policies. So if it were going to be heavily weighted towards her, like they did in 2020, and yes, I believe absolutely it was freaking stolen. I almost slipped in there. I wasn't going to cuss today. They stole it. Where's the 15 and 20 million votes that was there in 2020? And it's a record turnout for mail-in ballots and in-person voting. Oh yeah, math, it matters. So because of that uncertainty of whether they are going to rig it again and give it to her, basically, the the uncertainty of that, if it would have been like that, you would have seen a whipsaw election night around 9 o'clock or so. It would have went both directions wildly, like a FOMC type event. And then the real move would have transpired. But as everyone was watching, the election was unfolding in Trump's favor. So obviously, like him or not, as a person, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what he does with his personal relationships. I don't care. I don't sleep with the man. I don't spend his money. And just because you go bankrupt in a business doesn't mean that you failed. It just means that you keep what's yours and you keep creditors away from you. And it sucks as a creditor if you're owed money, but that's unfortunately the perks of being a incorporation. When you incorporate yourself and recreate a business entity, you have a lot of luxuries that are afforded to you. And just because someone files bankruptcy corporately or individually doesn't necessarily mean that they're broke or that they failed. It just means that they washed their hands of the requirements monetarily and obligations, and they can restart and respawn. And you do it all the time if you play video games, but you don't think it like that in the corporate world because you're financially illiterate. And anyone that's not trained to think and taught how to be an entrepreneur, they don't see that as an advantage. They don't see that as something that you would want to have because unfortunately, things that like COVID, they put the squeeze on people, and a lot of corporations went under, a lot of companies went under, a lot of mom and pop businesses went under, and that was kind of like what I was warning about with forex because the administration that was coming in was not going to be supportive for that environment. Now, it doesn't mean that people didn't make money. That doesn't mean that people using other strategies with mine or without mine weren't making money trading forex. But you have to really admit that the last few years trading forex has been kind of lame. It's been really lackadaisical, and now just recently we've had this breath of fresh air come into it, and it's moving around, and that's exciting, isn't it? So while I don't think we're going to have the early 2000s or so type volatility where it was moving around wildly, which made me leave all other forms of asset trading and went to forex predominantly. That I don't suspect that that's going to be the case here, but it certainly is going to be better for forex traders into 2022. I'm sorry, 2025. So that Trump effect is going to spread throughout all the asset classes. And you're going to see a whole lot of loosening up of markets that have been strangled for the last 3.5, 4 years almost. And that should be exciting for those of you that have traded for a while, and you know that we've been kind of like in a stranglehold with volatility. It's been less exciting, let's put it that way. I believe that we're getting ready to go into salad days. Salad days are like the easy trading days where you just get in there and it just runs for you. It just really, really runs for you. And if you know what you're doing and you have to place yourself in the positions, you're going to very frequently find your take profit quickly ran to. And that is a very fun environment to trade in. It doesn't happen every year. It doesn't happen just because a Republican or a Democrat gets in office. It just means that there's a lot of things that have to take place to weigh out the the impacts, if you will, the influences. And because Trump is a mover and a shaker, he's a doer. Okay, and I'm not going to try to prop him up because, like I said, I didn't vote for him. I didn't vote for anyone. I don't ever vote. I'm not a registered voter. Period. But if I were going to be honest with you, if I was going to vote, I would have voted for Trump simply because I'm not voting for him. I don't care who he slept with, who he didn't sleep with. I don't care about his failed marriages. I don't care about his infidelity. I don't care about those things. I care about someone that cares about our country and cares about the people that live in it. And we have to live here, folks. And as someone that has a little bit more affluent lifestyle than most of you probably listening, I feel the pinch when I go to the grocery store because it offends me that it costs that much. It bothers me to see that this is artificially inflated and it was purposely done. All these things I talked about in 2019 and in 2020, it all came home to roost. Everybody feels it, not just here, everywhere. Everything, everywhere is expensive. And I told you that was going to be a catalyst to what they were doing March 2020. And here it is. So now we have a unique opportunity to see if this man is who he says he is, because we have the House, Senate, and the SCOTUS, and we have the White House. So when I say we, people that are interested in moving forward with the U.S. being strong, not intentionally weakened, made a mockery where men dress up like women and pretend to be leaders in our military. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And if that offends you, I don't care. Unfollow me. But the point is this: we have a unique opportunity to help the mentally ill, position people in the right seats because they're qualified to do so. All of this, equal opportunity because, you're a different sex, a different way of lifestyle. That's nonsense. Anytime, anytime I hired an employee, anytime I was looking for the best qualified person. If that person was born one sex or another, it doesn't matter. I want someone that's going to be strong. And moving forward, we have that now going forward. Boeing just dropped their entire division of DIE or DEI or whatever. And that was a wonderful thing to see because you may live a alternative lifestyle, and that's your choice. You're absolutely entitled to do that. You have that free will to do that, but you don't have the free right to force it down everybody else's throats. And we don't have to join you in your delusion. And companies and corporations should not be forced into a position where they have to hire because they're going to get canceled. If you ran a company and I came in there or someone else came in there and said, you need to do this and you need to do that, and it flew in the face of everything that you stood for, but it was forced upon you to do that, how would you feel about it? You wouldn't feel good about it. Nobody would. And that's what we've been under. We've been under this tyrannical pressure to see things through a lens that's absolutely delusional. And it's wonderful to see the opportunity for people to go back to what matters most. Are you qualified to do the job? Are you qualified to be in that position? Because Kamala wasn't. I wasn't certain that Trump was in 2016. I was optimistic because I wanted to see how it was going to pan out. And he ran it like a company. And that's exactly how this nation and every country should be ran. But it shouldn't be a huge government. We need a smaller government. We need to reduce it. And the people that are representatives that think that they're lords and we're serfs, that's what they've been trying to work towards. And I don't look at these senators as leaders. They're supposed to be representatives. They work for us. They're supposed to represent us and our expectations and desires to see our country flourish and allow the opportunities for free people. Because that's what we are here in the United States. We're free people. And they've been casting this illusion over you that you're not. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't go to your funeral. You can't go to the hospital and see your sick folks. You have to put this in your body. My choice. My body, my choice. Where was that thought process when we had COVID mandates pressed on us? You need to wake up, folks. And now we have a unique opportunity to make the right direction in the path before us. Chase that. It doesn't matter who that person is. What's the ideology behind it? Because if it's making the nation stronger and it's affording you opportunities and it's affording the companies that you work for right now while you're learning how to trade, because you want those benefits, you want that higher pay, you need that right now. You have everything to pay for it. It's extremely expensive. You're not going to quickly run out there because you watch ICT videos and quit your job. You're not going to be joining somebody else's mentorship in 2025. They're going to promise you the world, but pay me monthly, pay me monthly. And that's a problem because I don't need to do that anymore. I could. I could make me could make millions every single month, all over again. All I gotta do is put a PayPal link up there. Here it is. Here, send money here, and you'll all be piling money into it again. I don't need to do that. Because I don't need to do that, I can give you the best education walking forward with you looking over my shoulder and feel confident that it's going to outperform everybody else's would be mentorship in 2025. I'm going to lay an open challenge out to everyone that's going to be starting their first year mentorships or the ones that have been doing it for a while. Let's see who has the most profitable students at the end of 2025. Because what I'm bringing in 2025 is absolutely university level. Absolutely. The Dean of Glean is absolutely in session in February 10th, 2025. My YouTube channel will become a university. We're going to be covering commodities. Futures will still be, the main staple because that's what I'm actively trading now. But I will be bringing back in Forex. So every single day, you're going to know what the Forex market and or the futures market holds for opportunity through my eyes. At the end of the week on Friday, and I'll have a more refined schedule, probably the 1st of January. So the very first day of 2025, I'll post on my YouTube channel in the comment section or community section rather. And it'll probably end up being in a video too, because I want to make sure everybody understands what I'm going to be doing and what schedule I'm going to follow. So that way, if you're interested in commodities, Fridays at the end of the trading for the week, I'm going to go over all the majors in the commodity markets. That means every metal, That means every agricultural market, bonds. I'm going to cover gold, silver, copper, platinum, palladium, even oats, lean hogs, live cattle, feeder cattle. I'm going to cover soybeans, wheat, corn, and oil. I'll cover all the energy markets. So I'm going to go back through everything I did back when I was doing mentorship in 2016, 2017. What my students actually had the privilege to go through was how to start looking at price. Well, we have already done that. You all know how to do that now. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to be doing my own analysis and sharing where I'm calling the market. And I'm going to pull you off of these 1 minute charts because a lot of the things that you're struggling with is because you don't understand the higher time frame charts. And because I've spent such a long time working in teaching through 1 minute charts, 15-minute charts, 5 minute charts, you understand what you should be seeing on those lower time frames. The problem, the missing piece is you haven't spent enough time on the monthly, weekly, and the daily to afford yourself the luxuries of knowing what a higher time frame bias and draw on liquidity is on those time frames. And go back to what I started this Twitter space with, or X space rather. In 2025, the market should loosen up. That means you're going to start seeing sustained trends and they're going to move around a lot. And that is going to be wonderful for all asset classes, even crypto, even though I think Bitcoin's going to go to zero eventually. And yes, I went there again. I would never buy Bitcoin. I think it's a trap. I think it's an absolute mind scramble, and a lot of people are going to get hurt with it. So I hope I'm wrong. I want to be laughed at by people that made millions and millions and millions of dollars with it. It would make me very, very happy to be wrong and you've made money if you do that. I'm just suggesting to you because I get asked all the time. I see people pretending to be me online talking about I give signals in crypto. I would never trade crypto ever, not one thing in crypto. Why? Because it's the beast system that's talked about in Revelation. That's why I'll never touch it. We're not going into the discussions of the Bible, but that's the reason why I won't touch it. Okay, so that way you know plainly, it's simple, it's right to the point. I will never, ever, ever trade a cryptocurrency ever. So once a week, I'll do a full breakdown and it'll kind of like be a weekly review on commodities. It'll be on Friday evening. It'll be a pre-recorded video, so that way it allows me to get right to the point. I edit out all the little stuff I usually end up talking about when I'm doing it live, all the you know, things that you don't want me to talk about. Since it's going to be primarily focused on commodities, it'll be recorded. That way it allows me to go through each time frame where I believe the market's going to go and why it should go there. Okay. Um, because we're going to talk about commodity markets, there really is a supply and demand factor in those markets because it's the world's grocery store. They are real markets. Okay, they're real. They have a real value, and that real value has a supply and demand aspect to it that no other market has. There's really no incentive or reason to buy a share of any stock. There's no real reason to buy a NASDAQ contract. There's really no reason to buy a S&P contract or sell short the Dow. It's it's an illusion based on the illusions of individual stocks. But a amount of gold or a bushel of wheat or soybeans, if you're on an island, and I'm going to borrow an analogy that Larry Williams used, if you're stuck on an island and you don't have anything, and someone offers you gold or a bushel of wheat, what are you going to go with? You're going to go with the wheat. You can't eat the gold. So the grocery store of the world is the commodity market, and they have real supply and demand factors. So we'll be able to track any mega trades that form in 2025, and I think we're going to have some amazing mega trades in 2025. I'll break down the monthly, weekly, and daily with you on a week by week basis and intermittently throughout the week. If anything changes or things become more in line with what I give in a higher time frame review on Friday for commodities, I will ring that inside the daily reviews. My plan is I kind of like want to have segmented videos and or streams, and I don't want to promise streams for everything. Um, if I can overcome the technical things I'm going through with my YouTube channel for whatever reason, they're messing with the audio no matter what I do. They're doing something with it all the time, And that's not my issue on my end. I went through several things to correct it. I spent a lot of money with different equipment and different computers, and it's not me. So something's going on in the transition from my ISP sending the stream to their servers, or they're getting it and it's just simply being mishandled there. So that's why I haven't been streaming. But the one way or the other, if I have to create another YouTube channel to compensate for that, I will. That's not a big deal. Um, but I know a lot of you don't want to have anything to do with commodities. So I'm not going to force you to watch a video to find to a specific segment of that video where I finally talk about the asset class that you're interested in. Uh, by far and large, the majority of you are following me because of Forex. And a lot of you have been upset because I haven't been active in Forex. And I've explained to you why. Because Trump is going into office, a lot of the world leaders are now happy that they can have someone they can have a conversation with. And he may be stern on a lot of things in their eyes, but they know if he says that they're going to have a trade deal, they're going to have a trade deal. They're not going to be talking to a mannequin. So, because of that, that global trade infusion of volatility, everybody now is getting prepared to start doing global trade again with the US and all these different types of deals. We're going to be selling oil, which is what we should have been doing all along. And that's going to be great for our economy. It's going to be great for your job. If you have a job, it's good for the economy. If the economy kept going in the way it was going under the present administration, your job is not promised to you. And because you're financially illiterate, you don't see that. But that's a business owner has to make a profit. They have to make a profit. Just because what you make as an annual or an hourly salary or weekly salary, an employer has not just to pay that, but it has to pay it twice. You don't even realize that. You just give me a good job, pay me a good salary. But you don't realize that employers have to pay twice that. They have to pay for unemployment. They have to pay all these other things in addition to what you're paid hourly. And if you start making it harder for employers and companies and corporations, they're not inclined to want to keep people that they could trim back on overhead. And that means that you might have been made redundant or would have been made redundant. So while you're working towards growing and knowing how to do this independently and being consistently profitable, it's very important that your mindset is correct. Don't be caught up in this crazy leftist view on the whole economic landscape is going to fall apart because Trump went in there. 4 years ago, we had the economy firing on all cylinders, and Obama had absolutely nothing to do with that, zero to do with it. All the policies were shifted away from that garbage, and we started running like a corporation. And that's why everything was becoming smoother. And then when Trump was out of office, what happened? Train wreck. Okay, train wreck. And I can talk just like this because I didn't vote for either party, but I'm a realist. I can see with a business background. I ran business. I own businesses. Okay, I know how this works. Okay, so if you're a person that's always been an employee or you're a university student and you've been indoctrinated, admittedly, like my own daughter, okay, they have been forced to see things through a very skewed perspective. And it's unfortunate because you're being taught and spoken to see things rear end backwards. And you get told this over and over and over again, and eventually you start to believe it. And that's what's going on right now. And hopefully, as Trump starts to run our country like a business again, we will get things back in line, and everybody's pocketbook and wallet will be pleased because of it. And I'm all for corporate tax breaks because that's how you keep your job. Corporations have to be profitable. Period. Nobody goes into business to be a charity. They go into business to be profitable. And if they can hire the best qualified people, that's the most appropriate thing. You, as a developing student, you're trying to do what? You're trying to be the most qualified trader to trade your own money. If you're not doing that, you're not doing things correctly. You haven't made a business plan to plan for that. Are you willing to go out there and say, hey, listen, Mr. Blue haired person, Mr. Nose Ring, okay, Mr. different kind of pronoun, You want to trade my money? I'm going to give you the equal opportunity. Here is my $100,000 account. You deserve a chance. Trade my money. You deserve it. Are you gonna feel comfortable doing that? Because if you're not comfortable doing that, stop talking the nonsense that you see other people on the internet right now forcing down other people's throats. Oh, you have to do this. You should do this. Or you're a bigot. You're a racist. You're this. You're that. No, you're not. It's nonsense. Nobody in their right mind would do those things. But now contrast that with someone that says, "Hey, I have 20 years of trading history, and I don't have any more than 3 or 4 losing months on average, but I come out profitable with anywhere between 15 to 30% a year return." Who's getting that opportunity with your money? Huh? Skittle hair or the person that has a real track record that's more qualified? So a lot of you that are trying to train and learn from me, you want to go out there into the world and be a fund manager. What are you going to bring to the table? Are you going to bring, you owe me an opportunity? Or here's my track record, here's what I've been able to accomplish, and I don't take big risks. That's kind of like where we're going to be going in 2025. It's about the quality of setup, not the quantity of setup. It's not the frequency of trade. It's not the small time frame for purposes of being able to showcase to the world that you can find multiple setups in the morning or in the afternoon or in the London session. You're looking for the most opportune times to trade. And that means it might be trading on an hourly chart. That means you might be trading on a 4 hour chart. That means you might be trading on the daily chart and nothing underneath it. There's lots of opportunities like that. And my son, because I force him to make his own money, I force him to go to work to earn his money because it's giving him the gas, the steam, the energy, the motivation to want to learn how to do this because dad's not going to give it to him. And because that may not be what you would expect, you would probably think, well, I would hate you if you were my dad. Good. That's the same kind of steam that he's going to need. If he got mad at me and said, Dad, I don't respect you because you didn't give me money. My oldest son did that. There for a number of years, we didn't talk because I would not give him more money because he didn't do what he should have done with it when I gave it to him. And Caleb, being the second oldest, learned from that. He said, you know what, I'm not going to do that. If I have to earn it, Dad, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud to see that. And once he takes the initiative of going through that process of, man, it sucks. I want it faster, but I have to submit to this. I have to submit to this process. He will understand how all these markets work together, just like my private mentorships. They were connecting all the markets together. And if you understand, not that you need it, you don't need to know what bonds are doing to trade Forex. You don't need that. It helps a lot. But why have I not been talking about bonds? Because we have an administration here that was playing funny money games. Bonds were not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So why should I refer to them? You're not going to get the pure data that you would get in other times. So you go right back to price only. What is price telling me? Don't look at other supporting studies with the interest rates because the interest rates are being manipulated. So go back to the individual price of the instrument you're trading. And where's your setup going to form? Around time, because the markets run algorithmically. Commodities have a supply and demand factor associated with them that no other asset class has. Zero. There's no reason to buy Bitcoin. There's no reason to try trade or buy any of these meme coins or all this other stuff that comes out. There's no reason to buy any stock or any individual option. That's speculation. There's no real supply and demand factors there. It's greed and fear. Those are the very aspects and two pillars that cause people to lose money. In commodities, you have a built-in advantage. You have supply and demand factors. You have a way of measuring the real interest in big smart money, the large consumers of a commodity. If they're net long on that commodity and they've been building that position for a number of months, and every time it drops and goes lower, they start building that position larger again. They're telling you you don't need a moving average that's going to go higher. They're telling you that you don't need a trend line sloping up that's going to go higher. You don't need it to go oversold. You don't need it to create bullish divergences. You simply need to know that this